Welcome to the MSDW podcast. I'm Jason Gumpert, editor at msdynamicsworld.com. On this episode, we are talking advanced mobile experiences for field workers in 2023. This episode is sponsored by Resco, and my guest, Resco CEO Andrew Lorraine, helps us understand what's next for mobile workers. He offers his outlook on technology trends in the Microsoft channel, Resco's approach to working with Dynamics 365 apps and customers, opportunities for ISVs related to Power Platform, and he shares some of Resco's plans for the rest of the year. Okay, well, Andrew Lorraine, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me. Could you maybe start by giving our listeners a little bit of an introduction to who you are and what you do?
Sure. Hey, Jason, it's great to be with you. First of all, thank you for having me on the podcast. MSDW is one of the sites that I have bookmarked and I check it frequently, and it guides a lot of the information and ideas that we have floating around here at Resco headquarters. So I'm happy to be with you, and let me introduce myself and share a few words about my role and Resco in general. So my name is Andrew, and I am the CEO at Resco here in Bratislava, Slovakia. We are a longtime Microsoft mobility ISV. And this is where I've spent the bulk of my career. I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and made my way out to Slovakia through the Fulbright program it was a decade ago already, and ended up getting into a career in business and technology with Resco, and working my way up through our sales department and our partner organization to becoming our CEO last year. And for your audience, Resco may be a familiar name, but like I mentioned, we're a longtime Microsoft ISV. We focus on mobility, and we've especially been working with partners and clients who have been running Dynamics 365. So that's where we've made our mark, and really pleased to be with you here today for our discussion.
All right, excellent. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm guessing that many of our listeners probably will be familiar with the Resco, the brand, and maybe some of the things that you've done in the dynamic space, especially over the years, because it has been a fairly long history. And I thought maybe we could start, though, with, for anyone who maybe doesn't know exactly what the latest is with the company, if you could give us a quick sort of wrap up of what the last year looked like, maybe what some of the recent highlights are, with the company and with your work in the channel.
So last year, we kind of left a lot of the COVID restrictions and started getting back into in-person work, which is a really big deal for us. So we were able to finally reconnect with our partners and our customers and travel and see people again. So when I think back to 2022, that's really the first thing that comes to mind. It was kind of return to some level of normalcy and being able to travel on site and spend working on technology solutions and improvements with our partners and clients. And that kind of culminated in the highlight of the year for us, which is always our user group conference called Resco Next. So we met in Lisbon after a few years of online versions and had a great time talking about Microsoft and Dynamics and Power Platform, Power Apps, and Resco with all our partners and customers. So last year, it was a record-breaking year for Resco. We, across our sales and business and financial targets and metrics, we had the most successful year in the company's history. We had above a 20% growth rate for our sales, and really enjoyed a successful year that we saw as proof that enterprise mobility and focused, dedicated solutions for mobility are here to stay. The main highlight, the main occurrence last year was the end of our official partnership with Microsoft for the Field Service mobile app. That's I think how most of your audience probably knows Resco as the Blue app or the Field Service mobile application. It was a very interesting year as clients and partners faced a deadline to adjust their mobile strategy and their mobile technology to either select Resco or to go with the new Power Apps based solution from Microsoft. So there we had a very successful year in working with clients to continue leverage their experience and their work with Resco in new ways for Dynamics Field Service. It led to a large number of new enterprise clients coming to Resco, and a lot of experience and ideas and development that we get from working with these kind of clients. In particular, there's I think a 5,000 seat project that came over to Resco that we're really happy to support. So overall, it was a really exciting and successful year for us that put some wind in our sails and kind of validated that companies were running Dynamics 365 and their partners need to have some suite of options that help make their projects successful, their CRM implementation successful when they take them out into the field.
I would love to get a little more detail from you on some of that. I guess you call it process or set of conversations you've been having, because it's such an interesting area of change in the space, and Resco sort of finds itself right in the center of it because of, like you said, your longtime involvement in this field service app and working directly with Microsoft and Microsoft customers, and now having these conversations about the decisions forward for these companies. Can you maybe give us some of the highlights of what some of those decision points were, and perhaps what some of the needs were or the concerns were that you were hearing from these enterprises that were really thinking about what their future of their mobile tech investment was?
Yeah, I think it was pretty straightforward in a lot of ways, right? Is that they had made an investment in a technology, in a Resco-based solution, had deployed it, had gotten their mobile workforces accustomed to it, which is, I think, an undersold challenge for a lot of these projects. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the conversations were around, well, will this continue to work? What does the future look like? How complicated is the transition? How much does it cost? These kind of straightforward questions that we got. So we developed a program around it to make it as simple as possible, and to alleviate some of these kind of concerns that were coming, very, very normal questions that were coming for companies when they tried to make a technology decision. Will this work, and will this work in the long term for us? Then there were kind of a lot of questions around the differences between the different mobile options, and why choose one over the other. Resco's strengths are around offline and customization and flexibility, these kind of things. So tell us a little bit more about how we can use these strengths to our advantage. And then there were a lot of roadmap type questions, is what will you stay in the Microsoft space, and how do you see your future now that Microsoft has a pretty solid mobile offering, and these kind of things. So although each conversation was unique in some way, they pretty much centered around these straightforward questions. So we made sure to have a program and some standard way of working with these clients through their decision. And for those who opted to stay with Resco and maintain and grow what they had already created, to provide them great service and support so that the transition goes smoothly, and it's business as usual for them.
All right. Just my 2 cents. I mean, there's certainly nothing easy for these companies about sort of trying to navigate a decision like that, where you have Microsoft clearly, committed to Power Platform, and the channel really pretty much committed to Power Platform as sort of a tool for the future. But with these other very specific decisions to make, it's certainly not an obvious choice or a one size fits all choice. But yeah, that sort of leads me into my next question, which is, when it comes to something like Power Platform, or perhaps other industry trends or technology trends that you're looking at for this year, can you give me a little bit more of your perspective as it relates to Microsoft tech and industry trends?
Yeah, I mean, AI is all the rage right now, and ChatGPT and these cool these great things you can do with generative AI, and kind of the new platforms and models and things you can do. I have maybe an unpopular answer to this, is that we try, and I think first and foremost we try and do the untrendy. That's a word. The untrendy things, right? Is that we look at enduring trends, that the role that mobile devices can play in the way that companies work and the way that they do their jobs and service their clients, and also that the world is, in a lot of ways, is more connected, but still very disconnected in a lot of these work experiences. So our commitment and our focus continues to be on mobility and offline, and making sure that these untrendy things that are really important at the end of the day, that there's a great option for Microsoft customers who are using Dynamics or Dataverse or the different business applications from Microsoft. That said, we adapt with the times, and I think we see a couple of cool areas or important areas that we ought to be focusing on this year. So the first would be the employee experience, and increased expectations for the look and feel and speed and efficiency and automation of mobile applications for work. Is there people are becoming more digitally literate, and the expectations and experiences they have with apps in their own personal life, Uber or Netflix or these kind of things, you bring the same set of expectations over to your work app. So we're really pleased to be bringing a complete UI and UX overhaul to our mobile apps, and also our configurator designer tools this year, to adapt with the times and also make great employee experiences, make things easier, more intuitive, look nicer, feel nicer, those kind of things. I think the next aspect to highlight is data. Collecting data that's not a trend that's established, and everything is generating data, but we want to make sure that that the experience for mobile workers who are capturing impactful data can be automated and as efficient as possible, so that the data gets into the system. And there you can use great tools like AI or other things to report and get some kind of insight on the data. So there we have a module called inspections in our platform that we keep working on to make sure that data, that human data capture experience, is intuitive, easy, smart, and fast and automated. And then lastly is this, it's known by different terms like silver tsunami or kind of aging workforce or changing demographics. But we look out and we see that kind of the workforce is changing for really critical jobs in field service and infrastructure and utilities, and that the loss of knowledge and experience presents a real harm and risk to businesses and also to society at large. So there we want to help companies capture and deploy their hard-earned knowledge and experience and kind of keep it within their company to help the newcomers get up to speed faster, onboard faster, and become more skilled in their work. And then the last aspect of all this is something that we think is a key differentiator for us, is that it's our work with Microsoft. Microsoft is the leader in kind of innovating business technology and these kind of things. And we'll make sure that the great innovations and ideas that come from Microsoft and kind of an evergreen platform can be leveraged and impacted by Resco applications as well.
Yeah, I'd like to dig in just a bit more on that in terms of sort of where you see the Microsoft partner ecosystem and Microsoft's own strategy there. I mean, I'd love your input overall on that, but I mean, one of the things I just think of as it relates to Resco is sort of alignment with Microsoft's sort of push, continuing, I guess you'd call it, push to emphasize industry-specific opportunities. And you think you've already touched on maybe a couple of those sort of vertical opportunities. Can you talk more about how you see Microsoft encouraging that in the channel and maybe any other trends or changes coming with Microsoft programs?
Yeah, Power Platform and Power Apps is a big deal, both for Microsoft itself and for clients and partners. It offers a great opportunity for accelerating business outcomes, doing things better, doing it smarter and faster, and helping people develop things quicker and create things quicker. So we have it as a key strategic initiative for us, is to become a better Microsoft citizen and change the conversation from competition to enhancement and extension. And we see, I think maybe a tangible way to describe this is that we see like our favorite customers are the ones who deploy a apps strategy that consists of Resco and Power Apps and a combination of the two to cover the different job and the different kind of worker preference that needs to be covered. So this achieving this symbiosis is definitely a strategic initiative and goal for us this year, something that we think is to everyone's benefit: Microsoft, Resco, our partners, and our mutual clients. In general, it seems to be trending more towards, like you said, kind of solutions that take care of the 50% of common processes that businesses have in a particular sector, and then lets them focus on differentiating themselves in that latter 50%. Here we think we can make an impact by bringing our platform, by bringing our modules, and giving partners flexibility and speed to deploy specific solutions for a vertical or for a particular customer. And a big thing we're doing this year is making sure that our most powerful or impactful products, like our inspections module or our guides knowledge module or reporting modules, can be accessed through Power Apps and Dataverse and complement the solutions that are being built there. So we'll maintain our horizontal approach, but be much more flexible in how partners can deploy Resco tools and cover certain use cases, even in Power Apps with a Resco component or that kind of thing.
Interesting. Yeah. And just to throw in a bit of my own 2 cents there, I think, for anyone listening who wants to know more about what Power Platform is really about and how to make sense of it in a larger context of technology investment, I think hearing from someone like you, and I know there's other vendors in the Microsoft space who have really, spent a lot of time, like you just described, figuring out how to, make sense of what the value of Power Platform is and what your firm's own solutions are all about, and how you make sense of sort of harmonizing, I guess you'd say, those two areas to really do something that results in a good solution and is getting the best from both sides, I guess you'd say. Maybe that's a larger theme that I'm maybe looking at this year, I think, is really understanding how partners have made sense of that and are taking advantage of it.
Yeah, and I don't know that there's one at this point that there's one correct answer or one path, but there definitely seems to be, consolidation of lots of different things into onto the Microsoft platform. And I think the goal really is for companies to have peace of mind in outsourcing some of their business operations and tools to a provider like Microsoft, and then being able still to have a specialization or something that makes them different than the competition. So it's that kind of outsource what you can and find an efficient way of specializing or differentiating, and that's where we want to that's where we can make our impact at Resco, is helping with that differentiation, making sure that the investment into the Microsoft platform works in the offline experience, and then also helping the development and rapid prototyping and deployment of specific applications through value-added tools, components, just to have some harmonized and clear experience with all of it. Yeah, it feels like we're going. There's still in kind of a transition phase away from these the heavy business applications to a more agile type of experience for companies. It seems like we're still going through that transition, but that does seem to be the route and path forward.
Very, very interesting theme there to keep watching. Maybe if we look back or go back to the topic of sort of the field service transition, which we mentioned earlier, looking beyond that, what is Resco's approach in the Dynamics 365 apps kind of going forward from there?
We have an established client base and partner network and all the infrastructure in place to continue providing a specialized, mobile experience for the Dynamics 365 business applications, in particular sales and field service. However, we expect to specialize more in these kind of things to cover the heavily custom, heavily offline, heavily mobile, types of experiences, and complement Dynamics 365 and Power Apps with our own specialized, so we see a role, we are there, we see a path forward to specialize in the things that we do very, very well at Resco, which is namely offline and performance and these kind of things. At the end of the day, we want the organization who's using Dynamics 365 to get the most out of it, and also to make sure that their mobile workforce is equipped with a tool that works well, that brings it all together out in the field. In addition to that, we want to find ways to complement the Power Apps that are available, whether for field service or for sales, the first party applications that Microsoft has, the mobile apps that they have. Find ways to complement them and extend the functionality through some specialized tools that we've developed because of our focus for over a decade, almost 2 decades, on the mobile workforce and Microsoft. So bring our expertise and knowledge to the Power Apps as well.
Yeah. Do you find any other, I guess, areas where you think there's really good opportunities, like looking out maybe into where you see Microsoft taking Power Platform or taking, elements of it, Power Apps, Dataverse, other services within the platform?
I'd start with Dataverse. That's an interesting new playground for us that I think we're taking this year to investigate and understand fully how our partners can leverage it and everything. We see it as an opportunity to build to quickly build custom applications, maybe for different industries or commercial business segments or different types of customers who might not go for Dynamics 365 or be unable to use it for some reason. So there, I think that's an interesting playground to explore, and we're making sure that our platform and our tools are compatible there, so partners are able to work with this tool from Microsoft and leverage all the great things there. As far as what the future holds, we we in some ways we have tunnel vision, is that we're focusing on the mobile workforce and making sure that the business applications, whether be it Power Platform or Dataverse or Dynamics 365, that there's a broader set of tools that can bring it all together and make it work in the field. So not trying to cop out of the and tap out of the question, but from Resco, from our perspective, we do try and keep tunnel vision and just focus on making that mobile experience or last mile work for companies who are running any kind of Microsoft business application.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. All right. Well, I think we've sort of got some perspective from you now on some of your view of Microsoft technology, how Resco itself has been working over the last year, as you said, some important changes in the landscape, both technology and just the business climate overall. What are you looking forward to? Can you give a bit of an update on what Resco is going to be doing, maybe what you're going to be looking at through the rest of 2023?
First and foremost, it's working with our technology and improving it to make sure that things that our clients and our partners need are done, and that we try and in a decent size so that we can remain customer oriented and partner oriented, and even do the little things that they need to make their project successful. So that's something that we've always done, and I think is at the forefront of what we wanted this year. And some of the things I've mentioned we're really excited about is that finally updating the UI and UX of our platform and mobile apps to bring them into the 21st century and make sure that we can meet customer expectations and partner expectations. We're really looking forward to getting out into the world and going on ride-alongs or site visits with our customers and kind of understanding their mobile workers better, working with our partners and continuing this in-person approach that makes Resco unique and also gives us, some fun and some things to look forward to. That's going to culminate in our user group conference this fall, which we'll be announcing the location and details very soon. So I recommend that everyone stay tuned for some cool announcements from Resco. And overall, it's a challenging business environment right now, but technology offers a lot of promise, and just continuing to drive mobility forward and give attention to mobile workers and the kind of tools they need to be successful, and ultimately that their companies need to be successful, help them do more with less. I know that's the catchphrase that's going around the Microsoft community. So really helping make sure that happens. And yeah, it's an exciting, we have great tailwinds and a lot of great experience over the past couple of years through this field service partnership transition, the introduction of Power Apps and mobile apps from first party mobile apps from Microsoft. So more options, more focus on mobility. That's all a good thing, and that's something that drives us forward and inspires us here at Resco.
Yeah, as you kind of touched on there, it made me think back to a past podcast discussion I've had with other Resco team members. I mean, your organization and your customers have some really, really interesting stories because, as you said, with a mobile workforce, they're not behind a desk. They're really trying to do interesting work and using technology in unique ways that maybe you don't hear about kind of in the top line message from Microsoft or from a lot of the larger vendors, in the space on a day-to-day basis, but they're really interesting and unique and interesting, maybe technical challenges as well as sort of adoption challenges as you touched on at the beginning. And I think we'll hopefully have some more conversations with you and your team this year and learn a little more about some of those things in particular.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Frontline workers and mobile workers they got their moment in the spotlight during the COVID pandemic, because we saw, very rapidly saw the importance and value that these types of workers bring to society. So maybe the silver lining in that challenge for all of us was that, attention was brought to this part of the economy and these people and companies, which we were really excited about. And that remains our focus moving forward. So we'd be happy to keep in touch over the course of the year, maybe talk about some of these stories and interesting ways that, real examples of how people are running Microsoft business applications and doing interesting things with Resco out in the field. Just to name one of them that always kind of sticks out in my mind is that there are a couple of stories from around the world of companies, home healthcare providers, running Dynamics 365 Field Service with a Resco application to deliver home healthcare services to the elderly or disabled or people who are homebound. And you wouldn't make that connection necessarily where you think of field service and healthcare, but scheduling and executing complex tasks with a mobile workforce. That's what home healthcare companies do. And there are a bunch of really great stories that we're very happy to be a part of, where customers are doing just that, leveraging Microsoft scheduling and business applications, and then executing the mobile work on a Resco app for this really important home healthcare type work.
Yeah, great example. Well, Andrew, thanks so much for taking the time today. It's been really great getting a chance to catch up and hear what you're looking at and where Resco is going.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. It's great to connect, and looking forward to the next conversation. Thank you, Jason.
This has been another episode of the MSDW podcast. My thanks once again to Andrew for joining. And this message from Resco. You can test drive the Resco Mobile App now to get a feel for key functions. Work with sample data so there's no need to upload your own. Check out the links in the show notes to try them out. And that's it for now. You can reach me by email, jgumpert@msdynamicsworld.com. You can follow us on LinkedIn or Twitter for all of our updates. And until next time, this is MS Dynamics World, signing off.